Good morning and welcome to this morning's reflection. And come in and take some time just to be still this morning. Just to breathe gently and come into a place of stillness. It's hard to find time to be still, for the world has sped up and we now live very frenetic lives. But it was not always so. In fact, as far back as 200 BC, people began to complain about new technology and what it was doing to society. The new technology at that time was a sundial. A Roman playwright said, "Who set up in this place a sundial to cut and hack my days so wretchedly into small portions?" And then in 1370, the first public clock was erected in Cologne in Germany. And so now time became the property of society. Before that, time was natural. You went to bed with the moon and you got up with the sun. But the clock changed that. It created artificial time. We stopped listening to our bodies and we started rising to the sound of a blaring alarm. We became more efficient, but more machine-like and less human. Then in 1879, Edison invented the light bulb, which made it possible to stay up later. Before Edison, people slept 11 hours a night, and today the average is 7. Then along came the so-called labor-saving devices. Yet in spite of smartphones and programmable washing machines, we still feel that we have far less time. What's the reason for that? Well, we simply spent the time that they saved us on doing other things. Other things which we do at speed. It used to be that leisure was a sign of wealth, but that has changed now. Busyness is the new sign of wealth. Andrew Sullivan said, "The Judeo-Christian tradition recognized a critical distinction and tension between noise and silence, between getting through the day and getting a grip on one's whole life. The Sabbath, the Jewish institution co-opted by Christianity, was a moment of calm to reflect on our lives under the light of eternity. It helped define much of Western public life once a week for centuries, only to dissipate with scarcely a passing regret into the commercial cacophony of the past couple of decades. It reflected a now battered belief that a sustained spiritual life is simply unfeasible for most mortals without these refuges from noise and work to buffer us and to remind us who we really and truly are. We lost more than a day of rest. We lost a day for our souls to be open to God." And this technological development reached a climax in 2007. It was an inflection point, just as it happened in 1440 when the printing press was invented. In 2007, Steve Jobs released the iPhone, and this became the gateway to the digital world. The internet has transformed the world, and not just for the better. It is said to be decreasing our IQ, or at the very least our capacity to pay attention. It chips away at our capacity to concentrate and contemplate. So much time is lost in the black hole of the phone. Sean Parker, the first president of Facebook, has the following to say: God only knows what it's doing to our children's brains. The thought processes that went into building these applications, Facebook being the first of them, was all about how do we consume as much of your time and conscious attention as possible. In other words, how do we consume you? And that means that we need to sort of give you a little dopamine hit every once in a while because someone liked or commented on a photo or a post or whatever it might be. Because they did that, that's going to get you to come back and contribute more content. And that's going to get you more likes and more comments. It's a social validation feedback loop. Exactly the kind of thing that a hacker like myself would come up with, because you're exploiting a vulnerability in human psychology. We now have an attention economy. It's an arms race for people's attention. A company can only get your money if they get your attention. And so our attention span has dropped in passing years. In 2000, it was 12 seconds. It is now 8 seconds. Your phone does not work for you. It works for corporations, for global corporations, and you are the product. Most of us have an addictive relationship with our phones. And if you think this is not true, practice turning it off for 24 hours and see if you can prove that you are not addicted. Call it a digital Sabbath and see how long it is before you itch to pick up your phone. It's not that we want to go back to the pre-digital age, but we do need to understand the deep dangers of the digital technology in which we live today. It's very easy to assume that this pace of the 21st century is normal. It is not. We live in a time famine. It's a recent phenomenon, a time drought. And what we have to prayerfully consider, and truly this is important, prayerfully consider, what is this time drought doing to our souls? Today, ask yourself why you do not have time for God. Time to nourish your soul, the very foundation of well-being. May you be blessed today. Amen.